What's up everybody, my name is Killaton and this is Dark Souls Remastered. Today we're going to be doing a strength run, so I start off by naming my character Stronk, and then we come down to and we pick Pyromancer for our starting class, and then I grab the Master Key as the gift. Pyromancer is just generally a decent starting class. It has a decent starting weapon, starts with the Pyromancy Glove, and it's the level 1 character for this game, which makes leveling a lot faster here at the beginning of the game. Grabbing the Master Key also allows me to get through certain areas a lot faster. It also allows me to access a few things I wouldn't necessarily be able to access throughout the game. So overall it's just a quick and easy start to get things going for us. This will be an all bosses run, but it won't necessarily be a 100% run. I will be using some skips and I will be using some leveling techniques to get my character to a certain level here at the beginning of the game. Other than that, it's going to be a pretty basic run-of-the-mill Dark Souls 1 run. One of the things that I'm trying to do with this is get to New Game Plus. In all the years that I've been playing this game, I've actually never ran through the game on New Game Plus, so this will kind of be a setup to run me through that here in the future. This is also one of my favorite tutorial levels that I've ever played through. As you can see there, you can see the boss right before he jumps down, the little hole in the ceiling. If you're looking up, you kind of spiral through the level, starting in the basement, going all the way to the top, and then you kind of work your way back down. It's kind of a microcosm of how the whole game actually functions in itself. The main map stacks on top of each other and everything's kind of interconnected in this really unique way. It's one of the first games that I know of that actually did something like that. It's just overall one of my favorite games, and I love to revisit it as often as I can. In a normal playthrough, I would have started as a thief build if I wasn't going for a very specific build. The thief starts with the Master Key, so you don't have to pick it up as a gift. That way you can pick up black fire bombs. The black fire bombs just so that you can nuke the Asylum demon early, and allows you to pick up the demon Great Hammer. Other than that, it doesn't really give you that much of an advantage, other than it allows you to pick up a second gift at the start. But as I said before, the Pyromancer starts as level 1, which allows us to do some super fast leveling at the beginning to get it to the stats that I need to wield the weapon that I'm going for. The hand axe itself is not a bad starting weapon either. There are better starting weapons in my opinion. The longsword with the knight, the bandit with its axe. That one's a good starting weapon as well. But the hand axe will get you through the first couple areas to get through and find another weapon that you want to use. You could use it the whole game if you wanted to. It's not super strong. Well, at least you can use it in the early games with some of the early bosses, but it can be kind of a slog to use it at a certain point. But overall, it's not a bad starting class with not a bad starting weapon. I think it's one of a few classes that start with a shield as well, albeit the cracked shield. It gives you a little extra defense to start the game with. Here we're fighting the Asylum demon. I really thought I was going to die to him the first time after missing the first couple dodges, but in the end we ended up cleaning him up and getting the kill and moving on. So that was the tutorial area, just a nice little introduction to the game. Not too grindy, not too hard. It doesn't really set you up for the expectations that this game is one of the most difficult games out there. But in the end, it's just a pretty good setup for the rest of the game, and it's a decent tutorial to get you started. So we've landed at Firelink Shrine, and now the game actually starts. This opens the map up, gives you multiple different directions and really solidifies it as an RPG. You can start by going up the stairs, you can start by going down some stairs, you can start out where I go and go towards the skeletons area. What we're doing here is we're running through and we're going to do Pinwheel Early. What this does, it just gives you a nice little boost in levels, a nice little boost in stats, and it gives you the kindling flame to allow you to have more Estus flasks in certain areas. But overall, I like to start this way just to kind of allow me to set up whatever kind of weapons build I want. You can set up to be a quality character and level strength and dex equally. You can set up to be a strength or a dex character. Overall, I just think it gives you the quickest start and allows you to kind of focus in on one weapon that you really want to use. The run through this area can be a little difficult, especially if you're running through it for the first time. Right there I get stuck on the pots a little bit, which is going to end up screwing me over a little bit on this first run. But other than that, it's not too difficult. The quicker you get through that area, the less the skeletons will aggro, and the easier it is to kill that little pyromancer. But there you are, that's first death and the iconic "you died" screen. The area that I'm running through right now is not an early game area. When I first started playing this game, I thought it was, because the skeletons are usually one of the first enemies that you meet. They're generally pretty weak. They're generally pretty easy to kill. But this game, it's not the case. These will actually continually respawn until you kill that pyromancer that killed me. They will not die until that pyromancer is dead, and then you can kill them permanently. But until that point, they just continually respawn and will really mess you up. But the more you start running through these mid to late game areas early, or the more you run through this, the easier this run will become. You can kind of cheese these guys and kick them off the cliff to get through this area a little bit easier. Get a couple of those guys down so they're not going to follow you throughout the whole map. But once you get through here, it's pretty easy. I actually make the roll this time and don't get stopped by that pot. So I'm able to get into the room and get the pyromancer some damage. I thought I was going to die again because I didn't necessarily have my stamina usage down, and I didn't have the dodge roll timing or the swing attack timing. But eventually I get it figured out. And then, like I said, once this guy dies, you can kill the other skeletons in the room. So that's a bonus. I don't know where this skeleton came from. He just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know which one that is, but eventually I kill him too, and then we can rest at the bonfire and level up. As you can see, these guys do kind of fall apart if you hit them with some strong attacks, or they're weak to blunt damage. So if you start out as the deprived and you have the club, you can actually kill these guys fairly quickly. The club doesn't do I don't think it does nearly as much damage as the hand axe does, at least to start, but it will help you take these guys out. So if you did want to start as a deprived to have that blunt weapon advantage, then you could do that. But here we got a decent bit of souls, so we level up. I do dump all of the levels that we get into strength, and this is where the real run for the levels begins. Now this run is somewhat difficult as well, but once we get into it, I'll kind of explain how you do it and why I do it and how to get there. I do need one humanity here, and I just kind of forget about that for a couple runs. So you'll see me back and forth on this bonfire a couple of times. But once I get it figured out, then the true run can begin. This game has a mechanic where you're hollowed or you're human, and you earn humanity to become human. I believe resistances boost a little bit when you're human, and you can summon NPCs or other players if you are online when you're human. But the other thing is that you can be invaded while you're human, so it's kind of a risk-reward there. But yeah, so here's the run. As you go through this, I get sniped by the pyromancer over there. Same thing with the other pyromancers. These guys will not die, so even if they fall down, they don't fall to their death. There's a little shortcut there that you can get through half of the area, and then you can drop down here and summon the Paladin Lerroy, who's going to be the main star of this first boss fight. He also has a holy weapon, so that means the holy damage, when it kills skeletons, it will kill them permanently. I don't believe there's any way to get a holy weapon this early, so you can't do that yourself. But he is very helpful in this kind of strategy that I'm running. And this little cliff drops you down to get the holy set. And I have no idea how that bone wheel is hitting me up here, but those hitboxes are insane. Once you jump down, you are going to have to get moving pretty quick, because those bone wheels are pretty dangerous. If Lerroy hasn't taken them out already, they will follow you through the hallway. They do have insane hitboxes, as you saw just a moment ago, and they can actually hit you through this fog if you're not fast enough and don't get through it. It does, however, take Lerroy a little bit of time to catch up, because he's still aggroed to those bone wheels and is trying to kill them. But once he does catch up, the boss arena is just below, and we're going to get him. We're going to try and get him in there first. You see how he backs up there? If you get too close to him, if you do it right, you can get him to back up into the boss arena, and then he'll walk to a spot right where the boss spawns, and it'll get him aggroed to the boss a lot quicker. I wasn't able to do that this time. I decided to just go ahead and jump down into the boss arena here and get it started. But yeah, if you can get him to fall into that pit, it's more of the ideal start. And here is Pinwheel, one of the biggest jokes of a boss in the Dark Souls series, I think. He is super easy to beat. I've beat him as level 1 without the Paladin's help before. Just pick up the mace and you can take him down pretty quickly if you're leveling in strength. Or you can use the hand axe. You just have to watch his summons, because they'll fireball you down pretty quick. Again, I thought I was going to die to Pinwheel, which would have been rather embarrassing for me, because I wasn't paying attention and I wasn't dodging his fire attacks as good as I could have been. But one of the keys here is just, if you're going to let Lerroy do the work, take out the clones, take out the summons first, because that'll only leave one character for Lerroy to focus on, and that is the main man himself. So I do that here, and once I get them all taken care of, Lerroy finishes him off and does the rest. Now, he does have one of 3 different items that he can drop here. I was looking for a very specific mask, and I did get that drop this time. I did restart this run a few times till I got that mask, because it is very useful in stamina management. So you have one that does health, you have one that does stamina, and you have one that increases poise. So once you get the 3 of those figured out which one you want, you can kind of do the run. And there I am, leveling the rest of it in strength, which will allow us to wield the weapon that I will pick up on our run back through to Firelink Shrine. The run back through, the run back to the top is much the same as the run coming down, except this time if you wanted to take it slow and you wanted to kill those skeletons, you could. They would stay dead, and you wouldn't have to worry too much about them following you. But it's a fairly easy run back to the top from here. I'm prepping here for the run back up. The run back up isn't too tough. It's much the same as a run coming down. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing. I pop a couple more souls here as well to see if I can get another level or 2 out of it before running up, because if I die, I don't want to lose the souls. They're kind of precious early game for me. I like to keep a hold of as many of the souls as I can, I shouldn't have popped that second soul, but I forgot how much you actually got out of it. So if I lose 1,000 souls, that's about half a level. But one of the things to be mindful of when you're making this run back up is the hitboxes. There's that hitbox of the guy when they're putting themselves together. It's a little bigger. There's the swing hitbox while you're climbing the ladder. If you get hit while you're climbing the ladder, you will fall off the ladder. And here, the stairs, the guy takes up the whole stairs, so it makes it really difficult to get around. But you can just kick him out of the way and keep going. And once we get out, I will finally reveal to you what weapon I'm going to be using. It's a pretty bog standard, basic Dark Souls run weapon that a lot of people use. It's one of the weapons in the most broken PvP build. It's the Zweihander. It's one of my favorite weapons. It's one of my favorite ways to run through as a strength build, is to grab the Zweihander early and to run through the game that way. I also grab a couple more souls here. Grab this soul here, so that way I can pop it. And there's the hitboxes again. You can't roll through, but I get lucky and they miss, or they just don't swing. And then there's a couple more souls kind of scattered around here that you'll see as I pick them up. But again, that's just to kind of help speed up the leveling process. One of the things with leveling in this game is there are hard caps and soft caps. The hard caps are effectively a hard stop to the benefits gained. Soft cap just means that you lose some benefits, but not all benefits when you level up. The soft cap for strength is 20 and 40, level 20 and 40. So I'm kind of rushing to level 40 in strength, because that'll maximize the damage output that I can with my weapon. Another thing to note is if there are enemies in the area, you cannot sit at the bonfire, which is what I run into here. Because I took the route that I did picking up those souls, 2 of the guys end up actually aggroing and making it all the way to Firelink. And I do end up dying again because of the bleed build. The one problem with the Zweihander build is that in the early game, when you don't have a whole lot of stamina, you don't get a whole lot of swings. You get 1 heavy attack swing before your stamina is depleted, or 2 regular attacks. That's why the Mask of the Child was a big proponent to the build. That's why I farmed for it and reran it until I got the drop. It just makes the early game a lot easier to deal with, allowing the stamina to regen faster. Another issue with the Zweihander is that it's a long weapon, so it makes it harder to swing the weapon in tight spaces. Luckily that can be mitigated by the heavy attack, which is a vertical slice, allowing it to work better in hallways. The jump attack is also a vertical slice, and then you have a rolling poke attack that you can do, so you can roll forwards and regular attack, and it'll do a little poke attack. But overall, the Zweihander is a really good weapon. It's a really fun weapon, and it's one that you can take through the whole game. As we get back towards Firelink Shrine, we'll now start the normal progression of the game. Since we did Pinwheel Early, now we'll head through the game the way it's meant to be played, or I should say one of the ways it's meant to be played. I realized I had a couple more souls to pop here, so I went ahead and popped them, hoping to get to another level. But it turns out I was just shy, but no harm done. The next area that we're going through is the quote-unquote official first area to run through. It's the area where all of the enemies are not too difficult to kill, even with a standard weapon, one that's not power leveled like I did. I went and grabbed the firebomb, so I have those on hand in case I need to use them at any point. I don't think I end up using them for a while, but firebombs are always nice to have on hand, so that way you can either nuke a group of enemies real quickly or draw them out one at a time. kind of like I'm doing here. The Undead Burg is more of a mob mentality area where a lot of them will attack you all at once, making it a little more difficult to handle. But if you can get them one out on one or have a weapon like this Zweihander that can take out multiple enemies at once, it's not too bad of an area to run through. You do have to watch out for this firebomb guy. He has unlimited firebombs till you kill him, and he can be a sniper sometimes. But if you can get him to jump at you like that, or get him off throwing the firebombs, then it's a much easier time. There's a couple more lost souls hiding around here as well that we pick up. There's some more to the left here, and this is what I'm talking about, that vertical slice. If you try and horizontal slice in the hallway with the Zweihander, then it'll just bounce right off the wall. I got extremely lucky as well with that humanity drop. Rats will drop humanity, but they're not a high rate of drop, so having a first kill humanity drop is pretty good luck. And here we are officially in the Undead Burg. There's a secret way that you can go down to the right if you want to explore a little bit more down through those barrels. I opt not to because we're trying to get through this area as quickly as possible, but you can kill a couple more zombies and pick up some items down through there if you want, but it's not really necessary to the game. It's just a fun little secret, a fun little extra path that you can take if you really want to. That dragon will come into play a little bit later. I like how Dark Souls kind of shows off the bosses or mini bosses or areas that'll come up a little bit to you as you progress through the game. It's one of the cool things about the level design and about the game design that I really enjoy. There's that rolling poke attack that you can use. This sniper guy's always annoying. I always have trouble with him, and I'm always impatient. I always take a couple bolts before I get him killed. But if you're careful, if you keep moving, you don't really have to worry about him. I'm just impatient, and I don't take care of him as easily as I should. And that's where I just leveled up again, and I just dump it right back into strength. The reason why I'm dumping everything into strength is it has a C scaling in strength, which means the higher my strength, the more damage the weapon will do. So the more strength I have, the better off I am throughout the playthrough, and the closer to that soft cap that I get. But here we're going to go see the Undead Merchant and buy the Residence Key, so that way I can free a sorcerer in the Lower Burg. We will meet him later when we get down to the Lower Burg. But take these guys out really quickly too for an additional soul boost. Watch out, there's a hidden guy behind this bookcase that'll get you if you're not paying attention. And get some extra souls so that way I can purchase the Residence Key from the Undead Merchant. After purchasing the Residence Key, I feel like that's a pretty good place to wrap things up. I'm just going to go head back to the bonfire there in the little alcove, and we'll call it a day. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.